Cosplayers, what's one cosplay you will never do again and why? My sis and I dressed up as Zatanna for a con. A guy asked to take our pictures together, our boobs accidentally touched and he outright moaned. Joke's on him, flat cheated so those boobs were filled with socks. Plague Doctor, the mask bent and the goggles fogged up. Fell way too many times. Pyramid had a whole slew of reasons ranging from it is very hard to move, see, eat, drink, literally anything, and this is the complaint with just the head. Now add in a skirt dress like bottom and the sword. It is very uncomfortable to walk, hard to sit down, and if the weather makes a slight turn to cold you really have no way to put something on that doesn't look completely ridiculous. M. Bison. My costume caught on fire going too near a heat source, and severely burned my legs, lower back, and butt. Ryuko Rennie's Hinigami in Death Note because it was a lot of work for people to just think you were from Kiss. One year I did Piñata. It was fun as hell, but it was a layer of fabric, a layer of EVA foam, and then all the fabric on top. It was absolutely fucking roasting and next to impossible to see. Not exactly cosplay, but I went to a Halloween party as Waldo once. Terrible idea, everyone wants you hiding in the back of their photos, and you hear haha I found you at least 800 times. Never again. Professor X, the only reason I chose it was because I had torn my LCL and still wanted to attend the event, so I rented a wheelchair so I could get around the event. So many people came up and sat in my lap thinking I was just cosplaying as him. Thank goodness my friend's parents lived close and we went and grabbed ice packs that we threw on my knee so people would quit doing it. Slender Man. I got really into the craze back in the day, being a 6 feet 3 inches skinny dude, and I thought of myself highly for having been a Marble Hornets fan card before the game was ever released. The issue is that I have a big head nose, so through the morph suit you just see all my features, including my dark brown hair and smooshed nose. I ended up having a sore nose for days, and the soles of my morph suit were extremely darkened from walking around in platform boots for hours on end. Daft Punk. I decided to use a privacy screen as the screen part and couldn't see more than about 3 feet in front of me at certain mathematically significant angles and 0 degrees in other angles. Dr. Roxo. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah, real reason is while fun I have no place to put anything, no pockets, nowhere to store cash ID, and if it's cold, forget about it. Also, seriously, nobody wants to see that. I kept it screen accurate. No kid-friendly steps. And I wore it to age-appropriate events. Edit, okay, I may bring it out this coming year, seems like there'd be enough of a positive response to warrant it. Goku. Back in college I had long curly hair, and a girl who was amused by it straightened it and used hairspray to get it to stick straight up. Then I used black spray on it, though it was so big I would have been better off going Super Saiyan. After college I chopped my hair so impossible to do it justice again. Graffiti Skin Tracer from Overwatch. Paint kept transferring from the gas mask onto my face and my mask was literally dripping water from my breathing. It was hot and stuffy and gross. One of the 300. I'll never be in that kind of shape again. One year I went to a convention as Kamino from Gurren Lagann. This is a character that is mostly shirtless with tattoos. I'm a fat guy. Nobody wants to see that, but I had a solution. In the middle of impromptu Kamino costume contests, you'd have these various ripped dudes striking strongman poses in a Kamino-like fashion. And then you had me, wearing the same costume, but a muscle man costume top that I'd markered the tattoos on. It was hilarious and the number of compliments I got on my idea was gra. I dressed up as Robot Unicorn from the Flash game and got hit on by 5 French guys. I'm a straight guy. Also glitter everywhere. Faye Valentine for Cowboy Bebop. Not because of awkward guy comments, but because of other lady cosplayers that would come up to me and talk about how Faye is a good starter cosplay because I guess it's not intricate enough. I got tired of the condescension. I did a One Punch Man cosplay at Comic-Con, I shit you not, about an hour in. A guy that was playing one of the enemy characters from the first season, I believe the leader of the aliens that invaded on that huge ship, came sprinting down the walkway and punched me square in the stomach as hard as he could. I unconsciously tensed my muscles up so that absorbed a lot of the impact, but if though it looks like I was fine, I felt like both my lungs had collapsed and about 3 ribs punctured my stomach. I once went to a Halo convention as Church, from Red vs. Blue. Midway through the con, I had one of my friends pretend to kill me. I felt so bad for him, because everyone was screaming at him, "You killed Church, you team-killing fucktard. If I ever do it again, I'll claim to be Epsilon instead." Lucy Hertfilia from Fairy Tail. So, the costume itself wasn't the problem, it's pretty simple to be fair, but it had other issues. Firstly, I have small boobs and the character doesn't. The amount of people that mentioned this was unreal. Secondly, the character wears a very short skirt. I had a few older men follow me and harass me because I was wearing it. Also, it was mid-October in the north of Scotland, so it was freezing cold. Oh my god. I never had any problems with my Lucy cosplay, but when I cosplayed Shippuden Hinata I got the same comment. I was playing cosplay chess and this little creep ended up in front of me. He stared at my chest the whole time before saying it, as if you could even tell with that big jacket though. He then wound up in front of my friend's little sister and was gross to her too. I was infuriated. This was way back though, so stuff like that wasn't taken seriously by con staff and security at all, sadly. The next year he turned up at another con and started creeping out another group of my friends. It's not my proudest moment, but I tripped him over. Snow White. I wore it to a major comic convention and people would not let me walk. Parents were literally shoving their children into my arms and making me take pictures with their kids. Kids were flocking to me, only nice part, and parents were pushing each other around to take a pic with me and their child first. I was trying to take the shuttle to the convention and I had a small crowd around me that would barely shift so I could get into the shuttle. My boyfriend at the time had to literally yank me and run away into the shuttle because we almost missed it. The same thing proceeded to happen in the shuttle, off the shuttle and attempting to walk to the convention, and at the convention. After 2 more hours of this I demanded we go back to the hotel so I could change and actually enjoy the convention. The worst part was people shouting, "It's Cinderella! It's Sleeping Beauty! No, people know I'm Snow White, dang it! No Face from Spirited Away. At least not in public." I was accused of racism, asked to leave the subway, then taken aside by a very angry subway security employee and had to frantically find a photo of No Face to show him to avoid more trouble. In fairness, he then was very concerned and helpful and advised me to take the costume off before I got myself beaten up by someone. My hometown has a very big Arabic population, so I can see why they thought I was being an asshole. What with a black cloak, black paint on my arms and the gold-painted pebbles in my hands. Master Chief. Every Halloween at school I would wear an over-the-top costume, and for my senior year I wanted to go above and beyond. So I worked overtime to buy Halo 4 Master Chief armor. Only problem was that the armor pieces were made of plastic, so I couldn't sit completely down without breaking the thigh pieces. So I had to go through every class squatting over my seat instead of actually sitting in it. My legs were killing me at the end of the day. Also, my costume was very loud. The sound of plastic rubbing against each other was terrible. Now I usually go for smaller cosplay. This year I went as a vault dweller and I could actually move and stuff. Widowmaker. I felt like my tits were gonna pop out of that suit at any second. And the body paint tattoos were always rubbing off cause of the suit and armor. Also, someone bumped into me and broke the end piece of my gun and a piece of my armor. It was so uncomfortable. Never again. Junkrat. Never again. The one time I went, I had my best buddy as Lucio. I mean, the cosplay worked perfectly. I have a prosthetic hand, amputee struggles XD, have a British accent, it sounds Australian enough if I try, and I stood at 6 feet 3 inches. My buddy had to keep people from touching my arm and asking if it was real. One time, I got so annoyed that I just took it off and waved my stump. Plus, the spray paint for the prosthetic was a pain to scrub off, and the wig was very itchy. Though there was a group there with various other Overwatch characters and we had fun taking photos. Ariel. I love the Little Mermaid and I love the costume I made for her mermaid form, but it's just been a cosplay that creeps have ruined for me. I literally got to the point of having to prosade my bikini top to my chest and wear pasties in case someone tried to rip it off. I have been groped, had hands stuck down the front and back of my costume, been kissed, and have heard all of the sea-related dirty jokes in existence. I officially decided to stop after one incident at a local convention, where someone was trying to pull of my top and I slapped him hard enough for him to be thrown off balance. He fell into the water feature and hit his head. Police had to be called to figure out if it was self-defense or assault. I hung up my seashell bra and tail after that day. Star Wars cosplays are frustrating to do. Because no matter what character you are, you'll get some dipshit who starts a conversation with you and decides to go in depth on why Disney ruined their childhood. If someone is expressing their passion for something, don't complain about the merits of it to them. No joke, I cosplayed as Kanan Jarrus, the Jedi Knight character in Rebels, and someone decided to stop me in a hallway at a convention and give what I can only describe as a lecture on why the Clone Wars is better than Rebels while I was cosplaying a fucking Rebels character. Had the same thing happen when I did a Rogue One cosplay, Krennic, where someone tried to convince me that Revenge of the Sith is better despite my repeated attempts to just say okay, and bow out of the conversation. I'm working on a Mandalorian cosplay now and already dreading what I'll have to hear next. Let people enjoy things. Baymax from Big Hero 6. I usually do anime cosplays and I never have to deal with a large suit like that. For the hospital I was volunteering for, I offered to cosplay for them. They decided to choose the outfit for me. One plastic mask that covered my eyes a little and an inflatable suit that broke after 5 minutes. Down the street of the event we were doing was another Baymax with a perfect suit with a light-up screen. Needless to say, I was dying of embarrassment the entire time. Defa Lockhart. I have never felt more unsafe and violated. I could not tell you the number of times I was groped, or how many vile, rape-type things were said to me. It wasn't even one of her more revealing outfits, as I didn't feel comfortable or confident enough to wear those. I thought I was being safer, more covered up. To be perfectly honest, even though I really like the costume itself, and I'm proud of how it turned out, probably my Scarlet Spider costume I made for C2E2 last year. Those lenses fogged up so hard that I walked around the convention functionally blind and being guided around by my friends. Ended up taking the mask off and leaving it hanging around my neck when we got to Artist Alley, because honestly, what's the point of going there if you can't see all the cool posters prints people are selling? If I can figure out how to solve the fogging issue, I might wear it again, but I'm probably just going to make a cosplay I can actually see out of next time. Went as a transforming transformer. The pink ice cream truck, can't recall the name. When I squatted down in a crouch, the headset flopped over my head and made the truck complete with wheels since I was wearing heelys. Edit, it makes more sense if I explain I was part of a two-person team. I was the front, he held onto my waist and made the rear base. You could turn the headlights on and off by pressing a switch on my shoulder. Took me forever to wire those fuckers up. And of course some asshat followed me around for an hour clicking what he called my boob lights on and off until they broke. A grown man, not a child. Back when the Assassin's Creed games were in their heyday, I cosplayed as one of the assassins with a few of my friends who were also assassins. For example, one of us was Connor, one was Ezio, another was Edward, etc. I spent a lot of time on those costumes and the props, so I have no problem saying they looked good. We got a lot of attention, including getting stopped for literal hours at the PlayStation booth for pictures because a few other assassins joined and we had the whole famdamly. The problem, I am a girl, and a short one at that. My friends who cosplayed with me are tall boys. So at the risk of looking like a pop vinyl next to them, I had to wear boots with a significant heel on them to help give me some height. It was brutal. We only got tickets for the one day and it was hours spent on our feet in poses, and we had to stop every few feet for pictures. Don't get me wrong, the pictures were awesome, it made all the time and effort worth it. But I was in absolute agony. At one point when we all took a bathroom break, I took off my boots and put my throbbing feet on the cold tile floor. Judge me all you want. It felt amazing. Thankfully some people who wanted to take pictures with me noticed I was in pain and out of costume and just chatted with me and waited to take pictures until after I got the boots back on. I had to call it quits early on and missed out on looking around as much as I would have liked. Even trying to leave the huge convention center was slow because I kept getting stopped. When I finally got back to the hotel and took my boots off, I had huge blisters on the top of my feet, on my heels, everywhere. It ruined the rest of the weekend for me. A couple of years later I went as Lara Croft from the newer games and got to wear flat, grippy boots with a nice gel insert. It was heaven. Any version of Harley Quinn. Nobody knows how to behave around Harley. Not thirsty Harley fanboys. Not Joker cosplayers that are a little too in character. Not neckbeards who want to quiz you on your Harley knowledge. Not other Harley cosplayers who have an issue with what version of Harley you picked or how accurate your cosplay is. Every Harley I've met has been given hell for their cosplay for one reason or another. I only did Lego Harley twice and got minimal shit for it, but I've met multiple Suicide Squad Harleys who were literally suicide baited online and pushed around at cons by people who hated the character. Never again. I did 2 events as Harley, a convention as an attendee and Harley Quinn Day at a comic book shop as a paid performer. My cosplay was handmade, safe for the wig, and lacking in Lego Harley's pads, but the colors were spot on and the wig was on point. At the con, not a whole lot of problems. I had a creepy Joker latch onto me all con, repeatedly getting up on my face and wrapping an arm around me, but at no point was I genuinely fearful due to the fact we were still in a crowd. I had a handful of people ask me which Harley I was, or go out of their way to critique my original design for her before I went on to explain that I was Harley from the Lego movie. At no point did I feel like I should shelf Harley. It wasn't that bad. I had a worse time that weekend when I cosplayed a podcast character that nobody was able to identify correctly. Working the event is what caused me to shelf the cosplay. I was working alongside 2 other Harleys, meeting and greeting people coming in for Harley Quinn merch and taking pictures. We were promised $20 each for 3 hours of our time. Wasn't god awful. Most cosplay performers do what they do for fun and will do certain events for free if they like the gig. In the email it said we could choose store credit or cash up front. Remember that. I got to talk to the other 2 Harleys between photo ops, and they started telling me horror stories. One mentioned she had been posted on cringe pages, which lead to people hunting her down to harass her and suicide bait her, all because she cosplayed Suicide Squad Harley, and people are quick to call Suicide Squad Harleys fake fans or say they're not real cosplayers. The other mentioned that she was touching up her makeup in the bathroom at con and someone cosplaying the original Harley grilled her, saying she'd never do Suicide Squad Harley because it's trashy by the end of the event. The owner of the comic shop stiffed us. He gave us each 3 $5 coupons to the shop. I had to pull up the email to prove he'd offered us cash. After all of that, I was done with Harley. It's a shame, I splurged on the wig.